Welcome to History Watch. Unfortunately, history now isn't history, and it's gone off in so many different angles, it's not funny. It's a really big problem, Job, when so many people have become experts. It's easy for them to write a book.
Yeah, it's easy with Facebook and Wikipedia. Everyone's just got their own voice today.
And they're not always right, unfortunately. So we look at the fact that people are empowered to produce history. Unfortunately, a lot don't cross-reference. Now, we can break it down into segments. The first segment we're really going to cover is the mainstream one, television, where you think you're being told the truth. That new program that's just recently finished on Chinese history.
Now, you're talking about the new Gold Mountain, because I see we've got an email here from an SBS series, the new Gold Mountain.
You're right, the new Gold Mountain. I was interviewed by 2GB in Sydney recently over it, and they sent me a newspaper article written by the author's wife for the original true story, the proper true story. Unfortunately, it's not the untold story that SBS claim, as you can see by the article.
Yeah, I can see, written by Catherine Hanbury, and the section here says, I heard from them only briefly. The reason they did not revert to me is now apparent. Somebody involved with this show has obviously decided to invent a better story.
And that's it with TV, unfortunately. They're out there to sell entertainment, and they're telling everyone that is the true untold story. It's not.
It's a pity, because the true story looks gritty and awesome.
The true story is we know our history. This is our area of expertise. We've got a lot of contacts. Our firearms experts got back to me when they saw the first 5 minutes and said, look, we're not watching anymore. First two firearms we saw in it were nowhere near that period, totally incorrect, and we thought, well, what else have they got wrong?
And that's the information in this, the new Gold Mountain documentary?
No, that is the Hill End Gathering Group getting involved and advertising the new Gold Mountain with an expert on Chinese history, and it's another inaccuracy. You see, the lady that's doing that is Chinese, but she came through here and went, oh, I don't think that's right. Oh, I don't think that's right. Don Laird, he lives in Melbourne. He's our contact for Chinese history. He personally dug the bits that she's questioning. Yeah. She's going, oh, I'm not sure about that. And he dug that at Bendigo from a Chinese site and got an old Chinaman 60 years ago to verify it. And she goes, oh, no, I don't think that's right. That's another way history is being distorted. If that SBS program went to her for that information, then they're going to go further in the wrong direction. And another misconception is that your grandfather or great-grandfather told the truth. Oh, yeah. We get that one a lot. We get them coming in telling us all these wonderful stories, and they're wonderful stories. We've got one bloke on the veranda of the pub at Hill End. Locals have to walk away from him, can't tell the same story twice. But the newcomer to Hill End...
they don't have no idea, do they?
No, and it goes, oh, these are fantastic stories.
Gospel to them,
This
100%.
is truth. We're really going to work on this one. And so we're trying to work our way through this little bit by little bit. I must admit, SBS did upset me. I had, and you can show the documentaries, submitted my documentaries on gold. And they said, we're not interested. We have no slot for them. And I'm thinking, Golden, B.O. Halterman? Fine. After 100,000 words and 40 years worth of research, and then a man comes along and brings out this book, which is the same cover as this, and all of a sudden SBS are doing a 6-part series on him.
These are published inaccuracies that are obviously frustrating you to the certain extent where we really need to get this information correct.
This book basically sold out before it got to the public, pre-orders. And most of it's just total fantasy or copying off. And we're going to cover that later. We're going to do a section on copyright. We're going to do a section on publishing. But for now, we can look at the next subject. Pretty simple. It is how newspapers and television, we'll go television again, get it really wrong. I love it. History stands corrected. Smith, not Hargraves, to discover gold in use. That is so much bull, it's not funny, and that is, again, great-great-grandfather had it right, see? We have to believe great-great-grandfather. These people have been banging on about him for years. What they say about him is correct, but only correct if you look outside the circle, you see how incorrect. In other words, he did do the things they say.
Yeah, it's a small part of the story, isn't it? It's
Well,
not
he claims
the
to
whole
have
story.
discovered. He claims to discover gold at a known gold area named after the person that discovered gold there. Okay. So he can't be the first to discover it if he's going to Yorkie's Corner, named Yorkie's Corner because Yorkie had discovered gold there.
Yeah.
So I got a bit of a rant. I went, righto, I've had enough. So I wrote a letter. I included the books, the documentaries. I posted it off to just about every major media outlet because this Sydney Morning Herald production wasn't just them. It was the ABC television, the ABC radio, it was the minister involved, it was so many other people, and now he has a plaque erected in front of his grave saying, he is the discoverer. No, it's not bull.
It's cringeworthy to think that with the technology we have today, that somebody wouldn't have, recrossed or referenced the information to triple check it's correct.
The only one that replied to this letter, the only one, Alan Jones. My letter was straight to the point, explaining first official documented discoverer of gold in Australia was government geologist James McBrien, year 1823. Proof is in his authenticated field book. That was 25 years pre-Tipple Smith. And as I said in this letter, there were heaps of others, one of which was caught illegally selling gold to Sydney jewellers. The Reverend Clark published a book about his gold finds early 1840s. It's one thing to have an idea. It's another to act and produce an outcome, as Hargraves did. Alan Jones took this on board and gratefully acknowledged my efforts by stating, quote, "You are amazing. This is an extraordinary piece of writing." At least he considered the books and all the evidence that I had presented.
Yep, didn't just go off face value and take it as credit straight away.
At least he responded. That's one of the reasons for this show. People just don't respond.
Yeah.
So how do we get the message out? We go onto YouTube and we go, right, this is what happened. A perfect example. Only 2 weeks ago, I watched another ABC program.
Right.
We will cover this in more detail later.
Okay.
But it was about it was in a bloke's museum and he's lecturing about da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and these are the most common Goldfields bottles. The marble bottle. And I thought, no, they're not. And then he talks about opening them. And I go, oh, no.
It's really interesting stuff, but they've distorted it.
They have the ability to cross-reference, but no one seems to be doing it. They're all in too much of a rush to get a program out. Yeah, they're in too much of a rush to go, righto, let's just produce it. It'll be fine. No one will know the difference. We know the difference.
It's too slap happy. Like Catherine says, there is so much to say about what the series promises and what it delivers.
Well, what we're going to do next is we're going to have a look at how books are produced, because it's a good example for other areas. If we're suffering the same here with this mass of newcomers distorting history, other areas are doing the same, and television needs to know that it has a responsibility to the public. Television and newspapers and radio have a responsibility to double check their work and make sure that at least they try to get the correct story out, not just something that will be believed.
It's about the facts, not about the opinions persuaded.
That's it.